Check me out.
Yeah. Hey there, podcast listening people. What's going on today, huh?
Yeah.
How are you? Really appreciate you listening in. Please do us this tiny favor before you leave today. Matter of fact, do this. Pause this right now and please go leave a review and subscribe wherever you're listening. Leave a review for the podcast. It really helps with our rankings, especially if you're listening on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. Please just give us a quick review, write it out. Even if you just want to do the stars on there is really helpful for other people discovering our podcast. Give us the feedback too. We love to hear from you. Do that for us, and we will continue to keep bringing you great information, insights, stories, resources, golden nuggets, and all the good things from the local entrepreneur leadership mentorship community here in the state of Colorado. My name's Connor Doobie. I'm your host each and every single episode, and I have a really exciting show for you today. Really fun show. Paul Foley joins us today. Paul is actually a Colorado native and huge tech startup enthusiast. He actually co-founded and exited. He sold a successful tech startup, which was called, I think, Augur. That's how you say it, Augur, to BounceX, and has since turned his attention to investing and venture capital. He's created a new investment firm, which is SmartCapital, which creates portfolios of fast growth companies located in Colorado. He leads the largest startup community in Colorado Startups, as well as serves as an RVC board member and Techstars chapter president. And Paul is just a really great dude, like someone you can sit and just talk with, ask questions. He's an incredible resource. I highly recommend that if this episode resonates with you, you reach out to Paul, ask him for coffee, get involved, get in his inner circle, because it is exponential, and he's got a lot of amazing connections himself as well. So before we dive in real quick, do us this, one more favor for you. If you have a guest you recommend for the show, somebody you'd like to hear, or you want to partner up, collaborate with the show in one form or another. By the way, 2020, June, just a little hint, we have some big things coming, like something that's going to put Mile High Mentors on the map permanently here in the state of Colorado, something that nobody has ever done before. So a little foreshadowing, but if you do want to, get involved with us, get connected up, collaborate in one form or another, send us an email right now, milehighmentors@gmail.com. Again, milehighmentors@gmail.com. And you can reach us there, or if you see us on social media, wherever you hang out, just send us a message there and we'll respond to you as well. So milehighmentors@gmail.com, or just find us Mile High Mentors on your favorite social media platforms. All right, folks, with that, without further ado, please give it up for the man, Paul Foley, on the Mile High Mentors podcast. We're live.
All right.
What's up, man? Thanks for coming down.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excited to have you in the warm studio for the day.
The hot seat. It is
the hot seat, but it might actually be a good thing. And the reason it might be a good thing, which leads me to my very first question, which came from a very important listener of ours that demanded I ask this of you.
Okay.
And this comes from a caller, and his name's Michael Klein, actually. And he wanted me to ask you how your fitness routine is going so far.
Pretty good. It's almost non-existent, but when it is, it's pretty intense. Actually, I went to the gym 3 times the last 3 days, and I was pretty proud of myself. But Mike always gives me shit because that guy goes to the gym every day and then eats like a Greek god, and then makes fun of me for pizza, makes fun of me for anything that's like slightly unhealthy.
How does a Greek god eat?
Meal preps everything, and then
Really?
yeah, like he goes ham. He knows exactly how much, I think, like counting calories and proteins and all that stuff. So
Do you guys have like a thing going on between the two of you?
no, I told him I used to eat. So when I was younger, I used to eat really, really healthy, but then I got too busy and I stopped. I stopped working out, stopped going to the gym. So he's a little bit older, and he was saying that I'm about to get really fat because my metabolism's not going to kick in anymore, and it's going to go from kind of like, I've always been relatively skinny. So he's saying I got to get back out there. He gives me a lot of shit for it. So.
Is Michael older than you? I figure you guys be like right about the same age.
Yeah, we act the same. He's I don't actually know. I think he's only a few years older.
Oh,
but
okay.
he was just basically saying that like he hit a point where he couldn't just eat whatever he wanted, and he'd actually have to like go to the gym, and then his like worst fear is getting out of shape, I think.
Yeah, that's funny. That's a cool yeah. This is part of the reason why I love doing this podcast so much, is just having that connection and everything. Like we had him on,
Yep,
and then
I
got
listened to that
connected
one.
with you, and
Yeah.
now we can talk crap about Michael because we both know him, and got connected with him on the podcast. Got to hang out with him a couple
You
times.
interview everybody. You kind of like spread across Colorado. You got the who's who.
Got a good mix, man. We
Yeah,
like to
absolutely.
Different subject matter experts. I mean, people don't realize how interesting our community here is yet, and we're growing like crazy.
Hey, don't underestimate that. I think a lot of people know how cool Colorado is.
Yeah.
Especially Denver. Denver is like the new place to live now.
Yeah.
Denver's kind of the hotbed.
Yeah.
It's second most moved to, or in terms of net gain, according to LinkedIn, in terms of, so workforce, people coming from New York, San Francisco, Chicago. It's not the most
Bring
moved
that
to.
sucker up to your face a little bit there.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not the most moved to place in just terms of number of people, but in terms of net gain, Denver is second to Austin. So everyone knows that Denver is cool. When you say you're from Denver now, that's like a badge of pride.
But it's kind of slowed down a little bit, the people moving here, hasn't it? And just in the past several months, I think it's slowed down a bit.
I didn't know that, huh? Who gave you that statistic?
I probably read it in a blog article or something like that. It could be BS. But I have seen is I live in Rhino right now, and I've
Cold
spent the
spot.
whole weekend apartment hunting. So I'm moving to a new place. Just signed at the Confluence, by the way. Have you seen that building? over
Yeah,
there?
of course. It's sweet.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
So excited about it. I've been geeking out about it with everybody. So they overbuilt this area like crazy.
Right.
All the apartments. So I've talked to a couple of the owners and everything, and they're like, we're at 20% capacity right now in these new like huge, units, hundreds of people in there.
If you live at the Edison, I think Mike gets a commission. So Mike now lives at the Edison, and
I looked at the Edison.
he anytime he gets a referral, I think he gets like a month worth of rent free.
That's
so.
exactly why I didn't sign there. I didn't want to. Not trying to get him his commission. I was working with a leasing consultant, so I had to use her.
You should use Mike's roommate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just to piss him off. I don't even know his roommate. I just use him as a referral.
That's funny.
That's hilarious.
Mike's roommate. I don't know who that is. He gets it.
Hey, Mike's roommate. We'll have to get him on the podcast. See if we can make him.
Colin.
some-
So Colin at Sheets and Giggles. It's Sheets and
Oh,
Giggles.
that's
like
right.
The Sheets and Giggles.
That's right. Peter Adams told. I need to ask him about it because I asked Peter Adams, who I think you're familiar
Yep,
with.
of course. Yeah.
And he was like, you need to get one of our businesses in there, Sheets and Giggles. I'm like, excuse me? Say that again? What was?
Did you interview Peter Adams?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, RVC. So Colin, Sheets and Giggles, real quick shout out. I invested in them. But it's eucalyptus bedding. And so it's imagine Egyptian cotton sheets, except of Egyptian cotton, it's eucalyptus, and it's like softer. Better for the environment, softer. You feel like you're in like a warm ball of love every time you go to bed.
You have them?
Yeah, of course. I bought, like, he did the Kickstarter campaign, and I joked with him at the time. I was this was like when the company was first starting.
Yeah.
I was worried that not many people would buy the sheets. So I bought 4 pairs and like every kind of accessory pillowcase you could get. Cause I was like, we got to make this kick. And then I posted everywhere. He crushed it. He did $350K in like a 3-month time span on Kickstarter.
Wow.
Or Indiegogo. Sorry.
Are they revenue positive at this point now?
They can be if they want to. But they are going for a faster growth curve. So they actually just went through Techstars and they're, I think, about to close a round. So
wow,
yeah,
which would be their second round then, technically, or third round?
It would be technically their second round. They did an angel round from RVC. Well, they did a friends and family round, then an angel round from RVC.
Right.
And then this would be at Techstars. He announced they're doing $1 million raise. So
wow,
and I think they're pretty close to closing it actually.
What would you evaluate their company at?
In terms of the dollar valuation?
Total value of that. Because dude, the sheet, the pillow, the sheet. Such a funny name, Sheets and Giggles. Like, well, I can imagine sitting around like that, they're just like either having a beer or just, we're in Colorado, they're smoking a joint, and they're like, what do we name this thing? Like, Sheets and Giggles.
He actually
don't mind the man in the mirror. He's trying to get some shots. This is a new setup, so
he bought the domain name Sheets and Giggles or Sheets Giggles, and then he was like, I got to start a company around that. That's how it all started.
All around buying the domain name.
Exactly.
Now here he is raising $1 million in the company.
Right. So most people don't know this, but the sheet market is $8 billion. So $8 billion worth of sheets. That includes like duvet covers and things like that, comforters. But when you look at that, it's like $8 billion. And then it was pretty smart. Like his logic was Casper, the mattress. So are you familiar with Casper? Mm-hmm. It's a great mattress.
I just bought a Tufted Needle. So.
Oh, okay. So it's like those direct to you. So you go online.
Yeah.
Right. So it used to, you have to go through a bedding store or a bed store to buy that. They would take like 50 to 70% of the margin on the bed. And so what Casper and all these other direct-to-consumer bedding companies did was basically just sell you the bed, ship it to you, make it easy for you to open up. Sheets didn't have a really distinguishable brand. So if you imagine a Sheets brand, I would ask you to name one Sheets brand and no one really could.
Right.
So they were going to do a brand, or they did a brand that's going to be distinguishable and then direct-to-consumer. So same way like the mattress, Casper skipped out the mattress stores. Sheets and Giggles wanted to skip out Bed Bath & Beyond and Target and all the other things.
Could they partner with like a Casper Tufted Needle to
like sell sheets?
Yeah.
Like I think Colin wants to get acquired by them. So if anyone from Casper, if the CEO of Casper is listening, or Tufted Needles, you should just buy them right now.
Probably getting connected with them on LinkedIn.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the special. Yeah. He targeted ads. Right.
No, man, organic. Organic's the way to go.
So do you mind me asking, how does this work? So you just create a bunch of content for your specific niche, and then based on that, you start attracting are you like connecting with people that you normally wouldn't connect with, like hitting that LinkedIn connect thing, or how does that work?
To make LinkedIn work?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a little bit of everything. It's a little more of an artful approach than like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. Is you really have to have all the pieces in place. So yeah, a little bit of connecting. Like if you have you ever seen Sales Navigator on LinkedIn?
Of course.
So if you have Sales Navigator tool, you literally have access to all 600 million users without having to spend a dime on paid ads.
So when you say access, is that just sending them an email and saying, hey, we noticed that you're in X industry or whatever, and then you go and you in-mail them?
You can. There's probably 10 different ways you could go about it.
It depends on the secret sauce.
Depends on the industry, depends on the people, depends on the influencers. Because if I go and connect with the CEO, like if I just go send the CEO of Tufted Needle like an in-mail right now, he may not respond.
Right.
But there's some other ways that I can, touch him to attract him into me and kind of set my profile up like a microsite. So that's how I would do it. I would set up the Sheets and Giggles CEO, his brand, kind of like a brand ambassador on LinkedIn, and use the messaging, use the engagement, use the content, and then funnel people towards him that way. So it's a little bit of outreach, it's a little bit of inbound content. The way LinkedIn sets up, like you're never going to have someone just like magically find you on LinkedIn for the most part. with what you're doing,
It's just
or even
constantly
just
create-
magically through content. You kind of have to go out and reach the people and then funnel them towards you.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, but Sales Navigator, I mean, consider like you could spend a lot. You can spend $10,000 on LinkedIn ads and Facebook ads, and I can literally reach everybody for $79 a month on the platform.
Huh.
With that, yeah.
That's cool.
It's magic stuff, man.
I know. I would love to learn more about that sometime.
We will definitely. You're talking to the right guy on that one. We'll definitely. And you spoke for Denver Startup Grind.
Yep.
We talked about that quite a bit when I did my gig for Denver Startup Grind.
Nice.
This is cool. Actually, I think you're the first person who's spoken for Denver Startup Grind with me that we've had on the podcast so far.
Well, more to come.
Yeah. Wait, so are you from Colorado originally?
I am. Louisville, Colorado. So
Oh, okay.
I was born in Boulder and then
You're
grew up in
native
Louisville.
too.
Yeah.
I don't get.
Where are you from?
Fort Collins.
Fort Collins. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you go, what high school?
I went to Rocky Mountain High School.
Rocky Mountain. Cool. I went to Monarch. Nice.
Oh, okay.
Native.
Yeah. I think we played you guys in football.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. I didn't play football, but
Uh-huh.
my parents wouldn't let me. They said head injuries and stuff like that.
Oh, dude, I probably I'm a little brain damaged from playing football back in the day.
My dad, as a soccer coach when I was little, didn't even let us like head the ball. Yeah, he was just anyway. He's a good dude. He just, for whatever reason, didn't think I was going to be a professional athlete and didn't let me play football.
So, your parents, are they entrepreneurs also?
My dad is. So my dad started a printing company. Colorado Printing and Paper was the name of it. It was back in the day where if you went to a doctor's office, you would have the carbon copy paper where you like write through. So you fill out a form. It like basically makes like a receipt copy. Do you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. You might be a little too young.
You
for
like
that.
scrape the ink on or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that right?
No, it's like this is like. If you wanted to, instead of filling out 6 different forms in the same form, there was what's called carbon copy paper underneath the actual form.
Yeah.
And so what you would do is you would basically you'd fill out this form, and then there'd be like 6 copies because they would bleed through to the other 6 carbon
I know what
copies
you're talking about.
as like receipts. And so he basically, he used to work as president of a paper printing company in the tech center. And then he lived in Louisville, and Louisville back then was like, there was Albertsons, and that was like it. There was nothing in Louisville.
Yeah.
And so, but he basically
Now they're like Louisville.
Louisville's
They're building
blowing up.
like multi-million-dollar homes out there.
Yeah, they got rated like #1 place to live and by Money Magazine for like 5 years, and Boulder kind of expanded into Louisville. He got lucky because he purchased some real estate there too, which is anyway. He built this paper printing company, and then bought some houses around Louisville, and that was his kind of like full-time hustle. Dang. So it was really interesting. And then
they were from Colorado also?
No, he's from Springfield, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
He went to he went to school in Boston, came out to Colorado to be a ski bum, and then got his life together and got his master's degree at CU, and then went from there.
How many just like hardcore killer stud entrepreneurs like just moved out here to be total ski bum, and they found their thing, and now they're just like balling
doing
out,
thing.
retired in Aspen, $20 million home.
I see a lot of real estate people like that in the mountains. Like we're meeting a lot of people that moved from the East Coast. They basically ski bummed. They bought places in Telluride for super cheap, or like one of the resorts, and then it basically just started ballooning. And like these small little purchases they made, and then they just kept making them, making restaurants, making hotels, making whatever. It was really interesting to see kind of how like wealth's generated like that. So.
And you went to college down here?
No, I went to University of Michigan.
Oh, okay.
So I went out of state. I was a industrial and operations engineer.
Yeah. So you're an engineer-minded guy.
Yes, very much so.
Do you feel now doing what you do more engineer-operated minded, or more like sales, business development type?
I would say so. That's a good question. It was financial. It was called industrial and operations engineering, but it was basically just a ton of financial engineering. It was like, what that means is
financial engineering.
You would use financial modeling, optimization methods. You would use, it wasn't called machine learning back then, but it was like the basis of machine learning for predicting an outcome. So anyway, that was kind of like, it was very economic focused and very kind of like we were supposed to be kind of financial analysts for what was Bank of America or one of the car automotive industry, like one of the big three.
What do you mean we?
Like that major was like a funnel.
It was all funneled into that particular. Whoa!
It was a funnel to either a consultancy like a Deloitte or Bain or something, or it was a funnel into one of the big three automotive manufacturers as like a supply chain analyst, a financial analyst, or it was two banks like Bank of America, Chase.
Yeah.
Those were kind of like everyone that I graduated with ended up in those three careers.
Yeah.
I ended up in that career too, to start for 7 months and then quit. And then did other things.
Why'd you quit?
Oh, I hated it.
Really?
I worked at Deloitte. Yeah, I mean, Deloitte's a specific...
Dude, it's because you're not an engineer. You're a people person.
I don't know about that. I'm actually kind of introverted. I
Really?
don't really like...
Well, dude, I work with a lot of engineers, scientists. Like, I work with the most complex industries you could think of, and that's what I support on the marketing side. And they're not people. Like, trying to get them to talk is like pulling teeth.
I like ambitious people. I like people that are doing stuff, that are hustling. If I'm like, or there's some similar kind of like, for example, with you and what you're doing kind of with LinkedIn marketing, with kind of this podcast, we could talk about this for days just because it's like super interesting. It's something that like a shared interest. If I'm at a bar or I'm at like a party and I don't know that many people, I get super introverted. It's not that fun.
Yeah.
You seem like
because you like talking to people who are passionate, ambitious,
learning.
Yeah. I get that, man.
Yeah,
I get
like
that.
Probably why you did the podcast, right? Like to meet a bunch of people and learn a bunch.
Yeah. Well, because when you're at the bar, it's like so maybe you just so much don't like the normal banter talk, average conversation. Right. You like to talk about stuff with what's the word I'm looking for?
Meaty?
Tangibility. Yeah, meaty, like with money or something. Right. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
I get that, man. I feel that way. Like I actually feel very introverted myself a lot of time. People see me, I do videos and all this stuff, but I'd actually much prefer to be hanging out, learning, educating myself, talking in one-on-one, like getting to know people like you.
I would not have guessed that.
Yeah.
Every time I've seen you, you've been in like attire that makes you stand out, and then you go and you talk to everybody. And you seem like really comfortable working in a room.
It's not comfortable for me.
Huh.
I have to force myself to do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that like did you wake up one day and I was like, you're like, I'm going to improve this, or how did?
No, just out of habit, I would say. Probably just more out of habit. So actually it's funny because Julius and I, how we initially met is when I was working my way through college, I started doing door-to-door sales.
Okay.
And that really, I mean, I was already kind of a people person. Like I am a people person, but I exhaust my energy very quickly. Like I have to retract back home and like go back and like reserve my energy. Right. I get exhausted very easily from people. Yep. So I force myself to like go out, shake hands with people, and it's just become a habit so much over the years. Because at the end of the day, I know between podcasts, other stuff, like I want to help a lot of people. Yep. And I can't do that if I'm not putting myself out of my comfort zone to, obtain resources, get in front of people, all that good stuff.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
So people, I think anybody, this is an interesting topic, is that if you feel introverted and you feel like you're an introverted person and you're not that outgoing person and you can't grow a business or, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, people think they see those big personalities, see me, think I'm a big personality.
Yep.
It's habit. It's just habit, same as anything else.
Right. Just going and doing it. Yeah.
Same as, like, if I really committed myself to learning math and science in the way that in engineering, maybe I'd be able to get into it, but it would be so tough for me. And it's the same thing. That's why I empathize with both sides. But yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And you? You feel more introverted as a person.
Oh, way more introverted.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean,
But you still speak a lot. You go on stage and
more so out of necessity, right? Like you quickly link up that if you have a goal or you want to go do something, then you have to go. That's like a necessary evil. You got to go give a talk. You got to go hang out. You got to go whatever it might be, get the word out. It's funny you mentioned door-to-door sales. Deloitte was, I worked at Deloitte and then I quit and I joined.
That was your first job right out of college?
Right out of college. Joined a startup that did door-to-door sales for small businesses.
No kidding.
So
what was your official role at Deloitte?
Deloitte was business technology analyst. Mm-hmm. So we implemented SAP and Oracle. It's like an ERP system for.
I know what it is.
Yeah. Like, some people
I have
don't.
clients that do NetSuite and all that good stuff.
Nice. Yeah.
What is it? So for people who are listening, what is ERP?
Yeah. So an ERP system, it's a suite of software for a business. It will handle everything from sales to sometimes marketing, but financial reporting, accounting, supply chain, support. But basically, it's a software that will help you run your entire business. It's usually it's called enterprise resource planning. Mm-hmm. It's usually for like a large company, like a AMD or other.
Yeah, take all their discombobulated pieces of their business and kind of integrate it into one platform.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So that it was I did not like that. Did not like that job. I ended up joining Belly and did outbound sales.
Yeah.
And I would
now hold on. Pause on that real quick, because so many people who listen to this podcast or maybe watching this right now are going and think they have to go to school and are going to school to get that corporate. It's probably maybe a 6-figure job for you.
No, it was a little bit under that. Yeah.
But it could have been. And
it was a good paying job for after school.
Like the dream job, your dream, the dream career. I graduate college, but what does that actually mean when you hit that point? Like what was really the thing you didn't like about it?
I had 6 bosses and I couldn't handle it. I don't know how to explain it. It was kind of like there was a bunch of feelings. One, with Deloitte, it was a consultancy, so that means they make money when you work. Mm-hmm. So there was it's like the opposite of a efficient working environment. Basically, as long as you are at the office, they can bill for you. So there was quite a few times where it was kind of like the expectation was set that you're supposed to stay there and you're supposed to kind of like keep working, so that way there's more billable hours, right? It wasn't like get your work done quickly and then that way you can go home or you can go do other things. It wasn't kind of objective driven. It was very much hourly. So it's you stay there, you do long hours, and the long hours lead to billable hours, and that's kind of how those larger consultancies make money. So I didn't like that.
And that trickles down to the client. So they're basically overcharging the client for the time that's not necessarily needed.
They already kind of billed the client for that, but what they didn't want to do was, I think, show what – I mean, a lot of it was an impression-based business. So with something like that, they were upfront and said, this is the contract, this is how many hours we're going to need, et cetera. But they definitely didn't want one of their consultants like taking off at 5 because he got his work done and worked efficiently, and then the client would go back and say, hey, like, instead of billing us for the whole 10, 12-hour workday, you should only bill us for 8, right? It wasn't like the expectation was if you got your stuff done, then you just did another task. It wasn't like get your stuff done, go home, or go do whatever you want to do. It was kind of like if you get this done, then you're going to be here for 12 hours, so then you get this other stuff done. It wasn't like there was no reward for being efficient or effective at work.
Just pure bureaucracy.
Yeah. And then I had 6 bosses and
Isn't that amazing how companies get so bloated like that when they get to that? And then you work with so many startups and you see how lean and there is no waste at any point. It's like a third world country,
right?
Compared to America in a way. It's so bloated, so much, bureaucracy in place.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, But to your point about outbound sales, so I went and I just started going around it was kind of door to door, but to small business. And I think that made me much more extroverted because basically you probably figured this out too. If you show up and you're in a bad mood or you're kind of like not having a good day or whatever, like you get blasted. And so with small business, like the restaurant industry, they don't want to talk to you. They know you're a sales rep, so they don't want to talk to you to begin with. So you're kind of like, unless you're coming in with kind of a cheerful or can kind of make them not think you're an asshole really quickly, it's like a very hard job, right? So it makes you...
the hardest.
You put on like a face and you become extroverted. Yep.
Yeah. Not like fake, but like...
No, but you definitely...
You have to...
change state, I would say. It's like...
change state. That's an awesome way to say that. I love that.
You can't come in and like be droopy and sad and whatever. You got to come in and just be like, okay,
floppy handshake.
Yeah, exactly. Got to come in.
Come in like. You ever get one of those floppy handshakes? Just jiggle the other person's arm.
I do not do that.
None of that shit.
Never. Oh, that's funny. So who's been your favorite guest?
You're my favorite guest.
No, that's not true. That's
dude. Honestly, when you do a lot of podcasts, sometimes you've had people on. You're like, oh, I can't remember. I've had that person. I'm the type of person. Whether it's a restaurant owner or it's a billionaire entrepreneur, I learn something from everybody. So I wouldn't say maybe there's even one particular guest. I would say maybe there's like golden nuggets that I've really liked from different guests.
Yep.
But yeah, that's like asking me who my favorite child is, and I don't even have any kids.
Everyone has one.
Everyone has a favorite child. Everyone knows you have a favorite child.
Yeah, and it might be timely. It might like switch from Sarah to Jeff depending on the day or the time or what's going on.
See, you're actually fun to podcast with though, because I've had people on that they've been in like very formal like media podcasts or interviews and stuff like that, and it's like it gets kind of dry sometimes. So they could be like a really kick-ass guest.
Yep.
Like I had Jake Jabs on.
Cool.
Right?
The mattress mogul?
The mattress mogul. The billionaire mattress mogul. And it was an interesting interview because he's done so many interviews.
Yep.
And it wasn't very fluid. I had to do it over a Zoom call because we scheduled it before we got the studio together and everything like that. So what this interview I built up so much.
Yep.
And it was kind of like, oh, well, it felt kind of like generic, like couldn't get, deep with it. And so if I had to do it again, I would hopefully get him in here. But
well, you should get him and the tiger. He's like, did you remember those commercials of he always had the tigers running around?
I dropped a horribly dry joke because I'm very sarcastic. And actually someone asked me to ask him this joke. Kind of like Michael Klein asked me to, bring that up with you. Someone's like, you should ask him if he's ever fed one of his enemies to the tigers. I'm like, all right, done. I'll do it. Like, I have no problem with that. So what
did he say? Did he? I'm assuming he did.
I'm interviewing him. Yeah, of course he did. Like, he's got bodies. He's got like a pool of like...
There's a reason he has tigers. I knew it wasn't just for like a marketing stint.
Well, apparently they can't use the tigers or don't use the tigers anymore. And I'm assuming he's probably gotten some pushback from that over the years. But I asked him, I was like, so actually I totally forgot about this. Someone told me to ask you this question. And it was... And I don't know if he couldn't see me very well. Like, I think he's in his late 80s now. He's a well-aged dude.
Yep.
I don't know if he couldn't see me on camera or anything, but I like was smiling and like could kind of hint I was cracking a joke. And he was like, I don't have any enemies.
It's like a miss.
So awkward. It got so awkward. And his assistant was also in the room too. And I heard her chuckling in the background because she was getting him set up. And
he doesn't have any enemies anymore because he fed them all to the tigers.
Exactly. Yeah, it was so funny. He was like, he was like, I don't have any enemies. I was like, oh, all right. Well, how do I come back from that one?
I do always wonder, like, what was the moment where they were like, we're going to get tigers? Like,
dude, he's a marketing genius.
I was like, seriously, like no other mattress firm or store in the entire country has tigers. Like you think of tigers immediately when you think of that
built
brand.
His entire brand around that and put marketing dollars into television commercials back then that was a vehicle. And
was he just like driving and then he's like, tigers?
Yeah.
That's it.
Probably. Dude, I can't remember
like
if
what?
he said where the tiger idea came from.
Huh.
It might be in there somewhere. Yeah. It wasn't my best interview, though, to be honest.
Yeah. And there's always like his little kids around the tigers. And I was like, that's not going to...
Yeah. His daughter takes over the marketing now. Took over the marketing now. But I don't think they can use any tigers in there whatsoever.
Yeah. So the Jake Jabs one didn't go well.
It wasn't my best. Like, I was... maybe off, and it just like it was just kind of awkward. And it was a good interview, don't get me wrong. Like it was amazing talking to the dude. I'm like, dude, what's up, Jake? Like I feel like I'm talking to my childhood here right now. I was watching Sesame Street, and your American Furniture Warehouse commercials would be on TV. Like everyone knows that.
Right.
So yeah, who would you interview? If you'd interview one person, Colorado based, who would it be?
Colorado based. Oh,
Yeah.
I was going to say Elon. I watched the
Elon
Musk.
He's on Colorado based.
I know, but if I had to
If you had to interview one person,
I saw the Joe Rogan in his podcast, and I thought that was
So
like that's
dope.
what a podcast should be.
Yeah.
Elon Musk smoking weed and
Yeah,
not
right?
making sense. Yeah, that's it.
Man.
Colorado based. Let's see.
But I'm with you on Elon Musk. Have you read his biography?
No, I need to. It's on my Audible list, like my never-ending Audible list
Right?
of things that I need to be listening to.
Audible's so great though.
It is.
Because like you can consume the content and be cooking or doing grunt work and stuff like that.
I've been listening to a lot of 20-minute VC by Harry Stebbings. Yeah, it's been good. It's like he interviews all the best VCs and kind of it's like quick hit. He asks really good questions. He has a British accent. Sounds amazing.
He asks really good questions, or they sound really good.
They sound
He has a British accent.
Well, both. And then they also are questions that if I was in the same room, that I would want to ask them. So, which I think is like, it's a good skill to have, right? Like to be able, if you're going to spend the 20 minutes listening to it, you would want to be like asking them questions that are like.
So that's a podcast. His is a podcast.
Yeah, his is. Yep.
Right.
It's pretty good. It's like one of the better VC podcasts. In Colorado, I don't know. I don't know who I'd interview. John Elway.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to ask him like does he enjoy being the GM now and seeing everyone else play? Does that give him like kind of FOMO of like missing out?
Probably at this age.
Probably not.
Maybe not. Yeah,
Probably
who
not.
knows? Yeah. So you've done some other interviews. What's the topic? Like what do most people want to know about you? Or actually, let me ask you this first because I'm really curious. What are you passionate about right now that people aren't asking you about?
So I'm getting asked about it, but it's because that's like my main focus. So the Colorado startup scene and the ability to build kind of big companies here. So I'm always impressed with like the Airbnb and the Ubers and the Dropboxes and those founders. Reddit, like I'm always really impressed when somebody can go and can build a massive company. And it's been interesting because Colorado has had this string of companies, then exits. And we haven't had those like massive companies. And so one of the things that has kind of held this ecosystem back, it's now has a density of entrepreneurs, but what we need is more venture capital. So we need more, we need more kind of like capital that's willing to take bigger risks. It's gonna like with that, you end up funding some really dumb shit. But with it, you also end up investing in things like Airbnb, Uber, Lyft, etc. And right now, it feels like if you want to build a big company, you have to kind of go, or it has felt that you have to go to the Valley or kind of a New York. And I think Colorado is now getting this density of entrepreneurs that are capable of executing and building kind of these bigger companies. I think one of the things that's hard with it is it's a different risk profile than a lot of the investing here. So when I'm Colorado native, so I don't want to leave in the sense that my parents are here, a lot of my friends are here. It feels like if I were to move to the Valley, I'd be leaving a lot, and it would be, to me, it just feels like that's not something I want to do. I just turned 30. I don't want to go to the Valley, kind of start over, leave my family.
Right.
And so like I want to make it so you can feel like you can build a big company here. And I feel like when I describe that to my friends back at Michigan or that live on the coast, and I say, hey, like come to Colorado, build your company, a lot of them go, well, there's not the same level of venture capital here. And so I think
real quick, even if you live here, couldn't you
go out
access VC elsewhere and still build your company here?
So you can. So that is what happens currently. So it just makes it harder. It makes it a lot harder. So Andreessen Horowitz gives the fun fact of they invest in the companies, the founders they invest in, 65% of them they knew before they even started the company. There is this, the sayings like proximity is power. If you're around a bunch of the VCs, then you're going to end up kind of just by nature get funding at a higher clip. Just because, like, think about it. Like, if you're going to write somebody a $2 million check or a $10 million check, there's going to be merit involved, but it's also going to be a high level of trust. Like, you got to believe that person is not going to run off to the Bahamas. You're going to have to believe that person is capable of executing. You have to, there's a lot of that goes into that. And by being in their general network or being in their general vicinity, like down the street or a few miles away or having a previous relationship with them, that's what makes it makes a VC a lot more comfortable to write something like that. So
right. How often do you see that happening where VCs are writing checks and they're just totally blowing it and like doing something fancy with it?
I don't know if there's like a statistic for that.
Is it a high percentage, do you feel like?
I would say that more so in the Valley, there's so much capital that a lot of ideas that aren't that great get funded there in a not kind of efficient manner. And then in the opposite, there's more of a lack of capital in Colorado. So some really good ideas aren't getting funded that are starting here. So I would say, I don't have like a statistic or anything to kind of comment to that, but
because that's what I perceive in what I've seen and heard in a lot of this startup community is they get a bunch of capital and instead of actually going and selling something, they're investing into beanbags for their office, and that's what they're buying and procuring like shiny objects rather than like actually still bootstrapping. Even though they got capital, they're not selling anything, and they're not actually revenue positive at any point. Right.
That's fair. I would say that happens in Colorado. Like that's much less than I would say in the Valley.
Really?
Yeah. By far and away. I would say in the
Valley. We're
Valley.
a little leaner here.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit leaner. It's also not as flashy. I will say a lot of the companies here that get funding are on a growth trajectory in the same sense of like they have that initial revenue, they have that product. And I would say that most of the companies I see that are actually getting funding here are in that growth trajectory. A lot of the companies that are getting funding out in the Valley are some kind of like cool machine learning or deep learning kind of tech, but not necessarily a specific use case with revenue and with kind of that growth that you would basically attacking a market. And kind of to what you're saying, they're buying bean bags and hammocks and stuff like that to hire really good engineers to try and figure it out. But their companies aren't exactly making money.
Yeah, they're kind of because they have tons of VC out there.
Yeah, but the other thing too is like with that being said, is a lot of times with new tech and being able to kind of invest into something that's just a tech product that's going to find a potential use case or break through something, there needs to be capital up front to build out the product to then make it usable in the future. So like we'll use Tesla as the example. And again, Elon's like a really good entrepreneur, but it doesn't really make sense given kind of their revenues and even their public valuation right now doesn't really make sense. Right. But if you look at it when they got a ton of funding,
so you need to slow down on the marijuana consumption.
Yeah, exactly. In podcasts,
it's funny though because that dipped, it like tanked the stock, and then it like shot up higher.
And then everyone's like, "We love Elon."
Yeah, it's hilarious. But he's probably making money on the side from T-shirts and product sales just from that alone.
Well, they have the Boring Company raise money off of those flamethrowers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he sold a bunch of flamethrowers.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So
such an like. If I could burrow into just tap into that. It's amazing. Like thinking big, just so expansive like that. Like I'm going to go to Mars. Like, all right, cool.
Like, how do we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, they're making Neuralink now, which will allow you to do it. You can upload
I've been studying on that. That's
info into your brain.
Crazy stuff.
But so like things like that doesn't have like revenue. That's not going to have like things right now. But it's like you build that and you can upload information into your brain. That's going to be valuable. But like right now, it's not like if we do, that's not going to sell right now. No, I
swear to God, Elon, if you monetize through advertisers in that avenue,
that's
you
not
just got like Coca-Cola dropping into your Neuralink. Like
I'm really thirsty right now.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be so mess. They actually wire so that it makes you thirsty and like crave certain products.
Oh, that's scary. That's super scary. I don't know if I like that.
It's gonna happen.
I don't know.
Is that Facebook Live still doing okay? Oh, okay, cool. Sometimes you gotta check.
So
nobody call me. Still, nobody call me.
So I'm personally passionate about kind of the VC / investing in companies that have kind of the chance to scale.
The potential unicorn.
Yeah. And even if it's like not even $1 billion company, but the $200, $300 million companies are really good for an ecosystem. They create more jobs. It ends up making the employee base as well as the owners there wealthy. They can then go and invest into new businesses. It's kind of like a spring that keeps on building. And I think those are really, really important. I think the kind of entrepreneurship in Colorado has always kind of been this more passive income or this more we're gonna have a small team or a solopreneur,
side hustle.
Yeah, we're gonna make some money, travel, go skiing all the time, and I think that there's time and place for that. But I also think you need to balance that with also these companies that do kind of shift and kind of change the industry that it's in, or the world, or your brain, or whatever it might be, right?
Right. Wait, but what does that have to do with like the entrepreneur that kind of has side hustle and they're...
That's been the Colorado ecosystem for the longest time. So people that
we don't like work the way that they do in New York, for example.
Right. And so
they work from like, 10, maybe 10, 11, and then they wrap up their day at like midnight.
Well, I don't think anyone should work that much in a job. What I was saying more is the entrepreneur type here is more, hey, I'm going to work 5-6 hours a day, and then I'm going to go enjoy my hike or my skiing or bar crawl or whatever it might be. And that's been the entrepreneurs that have moved here are more kind of lifestyle focused. Again, nothing wrong with that, but I would love to have also this kind of like group that is building big companies.
Right.
Yeah. And have balance, and you can have both. It doesn't have to be either or. And then I don't really personally believe in the example you gave of like the iBanker in New York that's working from like 7 a.m. to like midnight every day. Like, I don't think anyone should do that, whether it's in Colorado or New York. I personally think everyone should try and be an entrepreneur or be a part of an entrepreneurial endeavor at some point. It just makes you rethink how the economy works. It makes you rethink your own job and how lucky if you do get a job, how lucky it is that somebody started a company to get you there. I just think, so I think everyone should be entrepreneurial, but at the same time, for Colorado specifically, I want to see more of those send grids. I want to see more of those ping identities. I want to see more of those rallies, full contacts, solid fires of the world. Yeah.
Now, were those super highly innovative companies, like disruptive technology in the way that Uber and Lyft were, or what genre would you put that under?
Yeah, so I mean, SendGrid was just email deliverability, so that's not like super sexy at a high level, but every app that you've probably ever heard of is using some kind of email deliverability, and a lot of them are using SendGrid. So I would say it's like a net positive. It's not a consumer brand, but it's
a brand behind the brands.
Yeah, exactly. It's powering the app. It's powering whatever it might be. And then I would say SolidFire, which out of Boulder, which was kind of a quiet when got acquired by NetApp.
I haven't even heard of them.
Yeah, it was. Well, they sell they basically allowed you instead of paying for just kind of storage, you could also pay for performance when you have your servers.
Right.
And so it kind of reshifted how basically these cloud storage units would basically charge customers, and then you could do different things with that depending. And so it made it a lot more efficient. And so when you think about like the internet and things running on kind of like this cloud infrastructure and what they were doing, it's like something super simple of just billing on performance than just billing on amount of data stored. And it sounds super boring to the non-technical people, but that changes how apps are made. That changes pretty much it makes things cheaper, right? Makes things more expensive depending, right? Yeah. So it's
those are the sneaky ones that they're killing it, dominating, and people have no idea because they're not the sexy Ubers,
right?
Or the like sexy brands that are really disruptive in the consumer space, because that's what most people know.
Yep.
But I like that, and it sounds like you have an interest in that as well as the brands behind the brands.
Yep, exactly.
You almost kind of like. You like working with those better than like.
Well, no, don't get me wrong. I love Sheets and Giggles too, right? I love all of it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that's a different, like what Dave Wright did with SolidFire and kind of building that to, I think it was like an $880 million exit in like 5 years to NetApp.
So incredible.
Like that's amazing. And so
is he here still in the state?
I don't know. They moved here from Atlanta. He used to work at Rackspace, so they did servers, storage, and they would basically bill.
But they built that here.
Yeah, they moved from Atlanta to here, and then
he's here still. We have to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, you should. You should definitely ask. He can explain to you what they do in like more detail than what I'm giving you. But things like that is pretty Rally, basically agile development, which is now like the standard. Started here. It's kind of in Boulder. It's kind of it's amazing when you see companies like that become big, get acquired, or go public. And then it's kind of like those created a bunch of jobs. Those created a bunch of other entrepreneurs starting new things. And that also created, again, this ecosystem that can now invest into future companies.
So you feel like we have the brain capital here right now. We don't have the actual monetary capital in Colorado that's necessary to continue cranking out those unicorns?
Yes, I think for Series A, Series B is where we lack. I think we've gone to this point where we have quite a bit of seed funding that gets us to the start. But I think the Series A, Series B...
What do those typically run for?
Series A's are usually like a $10 million round. A Series B is like a $20 million round. Those are usually done on the coast. So exactly what you were asking about earlier, it's like, well, can't they go to the coast and get money? And again, it's like they can, but it's like way easier if you go down 36 and you talk to somebody in Boulder, or you walk to somebody in Rhino across the street, and then you have a meeting and you can do like 20 of those. The problem with Colorado is it was funny. I had a friend out in the Valley, and when we were raising for our last tech company here, we got kind of 3 no's from kind of the bigger VC funds, and that was kind of it for Colorado. And he's like, that's how many no's I get in like a coffee, like morning coffee meetings on Sand Hill Road, just because there's so many more VCs out there than there are here. So it's kind of it's just an interesting disparity, I would say.
What's the resolve?
We just got to get more funds here, and people are moving here. We got a bunch of
so by funds here, because of the setup that you're talking about, simply getting more people to move here.
Yes,
have those funds.
So we did a great job.
Can we create an app for wealthy VCs
people to come here?
Set them up with housing, develop some sort of platform.
I think we got to recruit. I think the word's got to get out that there's a lot of companies here that you can invest in, because I think VCs have not come here because they didn't know that there was a lot of talent here. And I think what ended up happening is Colorado did a really good job of recruiting entrepreneurs that are forward thinking.
We've pulled in the entrepreneur community.
We pulled those people here.
Now we gotta get the rest here.
Now it's like, now there's entrepreneurs here. Now if you're a VC, it's like, okay, you have companies here that you can invest in, and you have a region, whether it's Denver or Boulder, but you have Colorado Springs, Fort Collins, then you kind of have this like middle of the country region that hasn't really been tapped, whether it's Kansas City, whether it's Utah, Salt Lake. It's kind of like you can come here, set up your shop, and get enough deal flow. You still should probably go to the Valley and still should have some feelers in New York, but there's plenty of deals here in this kind of middle region that you'd be able to do.
Is there anyone heading that effort, recruiting VC capital here?
Yeah, so the state, I would say Jared's recent election, they're going to be very focused on kind of getting more funding in Colorado. That was one of their, if you look at the initiatives for the OEDIT, which is Office of Economic Development and International Trade, one of the major things they were looking at is getting more kind of capital in Colorado. Right. As well as aggregating capital here as well.
Yeah. So, and not necessarily angel capital, venture capital, because angel capital is going to still kind of be those initial Kickstarter funds, from my understanding. VC is where the big cash comes in, $10 million, $20 million raise.
So to kind of give an example, so like Foundry Group is a $400 million fund. Foundry's actually Foundry's a great VC fund. Techstars is around a $400 million fund, but they're a follow-on fund to Techstars. After that, there's no other $400 million funds. Those are the only two. Those are small funds when you put them in New York or you put them in the Valley. And there's around 50 more of them, if not more, in the Valley. So it's kind of like, okay, so those are the kind of funds we need in Colorado. More of those funds. It's a great start with what Foundry did. It's a great start with what Techstars did. Let's get more of those. And those are the funds that are going to do a Series A, a $10 million check. Those are the funds that are going to kind of start spraying some seed capital, $1 million here, $1 million there, to get companies off the ground. Right. Those are the ones that are going to participate in a Series B or help the company raise a Series B. So getting more of those type of funds is what I think Colorado lacks. Like right now, you had Peter Adams on. I think RBC does a really good job of kind of like aggregating angel capital. And then there's around 25 kind of like family office micro VC funds that are like $10 million funds that are doing kind of the smaller, even what Mike Klein was doing, right? So it's aggregating kind of these smaller not aggregating, but investing in these smaller deals. I think we now have that covered. Now it's get bigger funds here.
Yeah. And I love the direction we're going to as well in terms of foundations of businesses. One thing that I was really interested in when I talked to Peter is they just opened up $50 million for impact businesses. Yep. And before, it seems like VCs, angel investors wouldn't touch that, right? It was kind of like, yeah, that's great, that's lovely, you got your like project that gives back to the community, but no, that's not a good investment for us. But now,
right.
consumers almost kind of demand those kinds of brands and those companies. So people even have to kind of like develop the premise of their businesses differently now.
Right. So the impact fund that Peter is doing is it still returns first, but there has to be some kind of impact, like
tied
benefit.
to it. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's
which is great.
That's been the shift, right? So it's like, hey, we're investing in this company for a return, but it also has this kind of social impact to it. Right. And so I'll keep going back to Sheets and Giggles because it's a great example. But with Sheets and Giggles, it's like
I just have to get him in here.
Yeah, you got to get Colin in here. He's hilarious. And so it's exactly that. It's hey, we're selling sheets, but they're made out of eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is naturally a poisonous plant, so no one really cares if eucalyptus is around. It's good, like it's not like a normal tree, right?
Right.
You can take the eucalyptus, you can
Don't
put
like
it into
panda bears eat eucalyptus or something like that?
I think it's koalas or something like that. Yeah. And they sleep. He makes a joke about it, like koalas or something are the ones that eat it, and then they sleep like 20 hours out of the day. And sloths maybe.
Wait, so maybe do people sleep so well with Sheets and Giggles because they're getting like a microdose of poison?
No.
It's making them sleep so well.
The process eliminates all of that stuff.
Okay,
so,
all
yeah,
right,
it's like
sure.
Yeah, sure. It's hyperallergenic. They tested it. Yeah.
Slightly skeptical about this company now. The reason they're selling so well is they're actually addictive. So you buy a pair and then they make you buy another pair. And
I just want to go to bed right now. That's all I could think about is just sleeping.
Yeah.
That's funny, but it has like a nature impact to it because it's actually much better for the environment than continuing to shear sheep and
hemp sheet. We're probably going to see a lot of hemp related product.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now that it's legalized nationwide, I can't imagine the amount of products that should be in works right now here in Colorado alone.
Right. So so you also asked about like the initiative that we're working on right now is SmartCapital Colorado. We have a portfolio of 25 companies. We selected them based on they have a lead kind of seed round or low Series A. And then out of the 25 companies, we fall on those rounds. But out of the 25 companies, 2 of them are hemp related. So one does a CBD isolate. It's basically they'll sell this isolate to anyone making cream or water or edibles or whatever it might be. And then we have a hemp packaging company that does hemp as well as ocean plastics. And it's much better for obviously the environment.
All the plastic that came from the dispensaries and everything is probably horrible.
Right.
Which is so ironic because
just
ironic.
It's supposed to be like
that genre of people usually all about the environment and everything.
Exactly. It's supposed to be a green product. It's supposed to be good. Yeah. So it's they basically just started selling these hemp packaging for cannabis supplies.
Wow.
But it can be.
And they're Colorado based.
Yeah. Sauna packaging.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're awesome. Out of Boulder.
Fascinating. Yeah. We haven't gotten any marijuana businesses on.
Well,
yet,
you should interview Ron.
Yeah. We'll have to do that, man.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what is kind of your main focus right now and everything that you're built around, companies you're looking to connect up with or resources?
So right now we have the SmartCapital, again, Colorado portfolio. We sourced deals throughout the state that have been led by another VC. We looked specifically, our portfolio would specifically be revenue generating kind of on this ramp phase. So they have the initial product and then they have either a sales channel or a marketing channel that is working really well, sometimes multiple, and they're putting more money into that. So whether it's Goodbye Gear, which is expanding from Denver to Dallas and Atlanta and maybe Chicago, they buy and sell baby gear. So they're a marketplace. It's like eBay, but for used baby gear. Yeah. Huh. Not babies, baby gear.
But they call it baby?
No.
I tried.
It's called Goodbye Gear.
Try to be creative.
It's companies like that.
eBay.
Yes.
No, that was
eBay.
Baby.
Clever. But it's companies like that. It's companies that sell direct to consumer, and then they have.
That's your main focus. That's what you guys are.
It's all companies that have this. It could be a tech product. There's some security products in there, like Whistler.
So you're looking for more companies to invest into now, or you're trying to bring more funds into your.
Now it's investors. So the fund is open from May 1st, so like a month ago, to June 30th. So now it's just whoever is interested in investing in kind of Colorado and Colorado growth companies can go to colorado.capital. They can log in, they can see all the companies, they can kind of see more information about them, and then they can invest.
I could come in and put money into that fund, or you have to be a...
so it has to be accredited. So the accredited is the $200,000 plus per year. I don't know your situation, but it's $200,000 plus per year, and then $1 million in net worth is kind of the laws. We tried forever to get just the general public, which is considered non-accredited by the SEC,
right,
to be able to invest. We spent like a year working through that, and unfortunately that wasn't an option. So now our main clientele is these accredited investors. The idea is the $30,000
$1 million net worth, and you're making like $200K a year.
Either or.
Yeah.
So it could be.
I see.
Yeah. So it could be somebody that's like a high earner, that's like a CMO or whatever.
There's a lot of people in Colorado making $200K a year.
Right. Exactly. It could actually a lot of real estate people. There's a lot of commercial brokers. There's a lot of real estate investment. There's a lot of even just real estate agents.
They go through a process to get accredited, and then they can come put into your fund or whatever.
Exactly. And well, it's actually pretty simple to show that you're accredited. You just need either your last 2 years of tax returns or a CPA to just kind of write that you meet a threshold that would allow you to invest.
Right.
So those are the two ways to kind of do it. And then the idea is the 25 companies, normally to invest in one company, you're writing a $20K or $25K check. This allows you to write a $30K check into 25 companies. So it's kind of a...
spread out.
Yeah, exactly.
If a unicorn pops and,
Right. It's a...
diversified...
Exactly. A diversified portfolio reduces risk and allows you a better chance of getting in kind of the winners.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. We'll have to chat about that more. I'm fascinated by that.
Yep.
But unfortunately, I got to start wrapping this thing up. Well, come down and do a podcast with us again. We could probably talk for 5-6 hours on all this stuff.
We'll get Mike and Colin in a room.
Let's get a crew in here. Maybe we can get some sort of debate going on or something like that. That would be a lot of fun.
Right. That'd be fun. You should also do Jay Hirsch at Break Trail Ventures.
Actually, Michael just mentioned his name the other day.
Yeah, he's great. And then there's quite a few.
Yeah. We'll definitely chat after, man. But
cool.
Really appreciate you coming down. We still have a few more minutes. Anything else that you want to touch on? Something that's really important you want to get out there before we wrap up here?
I appreciate all the posts / activity in the Colorado startups community. I see that. I notice that. For those that don't know, if you go to colorado.capital, you can go there. There's meetups. Startup Grind is like an official partner by Doug and them. And then there's a Facebook group, a LinkedIn group, and then kind of a forum.
Doug, you teach me.
Right.
Such a cool guy.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's great. I love Doug. We're working on a partnership also right now.
I was going to say you guys should do like joint podcasts or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work, but it's like the same obviously type of thing instead of in person.
Yeah. Well, thanks for building the community. How long you guys had the Colorado Startups group for?
It started as a Facebook group around 7 years ago, and it was just a bunch of entrepreneurs that were interested in kind of like connecting with each other.
You started the group?
Yep. It was. Yep. And then and so it expanded from there, and then it just basically became anytime someone was like, "Hey, I'm interested in startups," I would recommend it, or someone else in the group would recommend it, and it just kind of like ballooned.
I know you're skeptical about the live thing, but think of who's connected in that group. And we're just talking about attracting investors and stuff. I bet if you do more live streams or more content in there, some interactive stuff, you never know what will come out of it. Because
I might use LinkedIn. So that's
I'll help you on the LinkedIn side.
Yeah.
But the only biggest benefit of the Facebook groups is just the function of Facebook groups. LinkedIn groups suck.
Really?
Right now. Yeah, they're terrible.
Huh.
So
we don't have anywhere near the engagement on our LinkedIn group as we do on Facebook.
Oh, you have I didn't know you had a...
The LinkedIn group doesn't really do much other than a few posts every now and then.
Yeah, LinkedIn's going to be more driven from your personal brand's engagement.
Huh.
But Facebook group, you can go live. There's more functions to it. There's more capabilities with it. But both. I mean, all of the above, right?
Right. We actually did so that Facebook group has a ton of companies, and we did in partnership with Techstars.
Yeah.
We did an AMA / a kind of call for companies.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So
that was a while ago, though. Wasn't that a couple of months ago?
Yeah, that was when we were kind of like circling the companies we wanted to invest in. And so that's how we use that plus a bunch of other things to get kind of the 25 companies.
So Colorado Startups, if you're on Facebook, you can go join that group.
Yep.
You guys have an Instagram page too?
No. We should.
You have an Instagram page?
I do, but it's like me, like in my parents, like Christmas. It's like not
the one picture you and your parents
like,
at Christmas.
It's like not exciting at all. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much, man. Give and shout out how people can get in contact with you and anything you want to pitch out real quick before we wrap up.
Yeah,
here.
absolutely. If you're interested in investing in colorado.capital, and then if you're a company or anything like that, go to coloradostartups.com and then sign up for one of the groups. Cool.
Paul Foley, ladies and gents.
Hey, thank
thanks,
you for
man.
having me.
Appreciate it.
This is awesome. Cool.